the bounty hunters. Into the dark of the night, the two men wandered, towering behemoths of barely contained wrath, and the skill to use it needed traits when traveling into a city with a heart as dark as their hides. Dong says behind his hand in a canned voice before miming examining his nails as the Hat and Mr. T glance back at him. Then, after a few steps, they turn away. They continued to scan the environment, danger in every corner, some obvious but most is not. Their hands never strayed far from their weapons, as in the city of sin that was octarine spin trouble is never more than a few steps away. Just ignore him, he'll get bored eventually, the Hat remarks as he suppresses a grin. The larger of the two men states, sure of his words despite the utter inaccuracy of his statement, for this was a night of doom and destruction where death walks with all men. Dong continues his narration, not even trying to hide the fact that he's mocking both men as Mr. T starts shaking from suppressed laughter. Could you possibly make it more corny? Mr. T asks, and Dong gives him a quick thumbs up and quickly fiddles with his communicator. All three men chuckle as the film noir-style piano keys start sounding out. A dark night indeed, where dark deeds done by those with dark hearts would rule the streets. Even the most noble of men held with them instruments of torture and murder to inflict the most heinous of harm on maiden and men alike, should either seek to cross them. Dong intones as he pushes on his windpipe with his thumb in order to alter the tone of his voice into a strange direction. The Hat takes off his headwear and chuckles into it for a few moments before getting himself under control. Of all the people that could be the third in our little sortie, and it was you that volunteered? Mustard's meeting his new girlfriends. Itchy is nearby as backup. J3 and Tang are scouting out the best sniper perches in the nightlife. Pukey's out with Cindy. Air Farce is waiting nearby in the car in case they need to bail. Bike's in the process of cracking the codes and encryptions in the brawl yards in Shrunkland. Onyx is teaching Jade how to maintain an air bike, and Scaly's doing the homework that Cindy assigned him. So yay, just me. Wait, the kid's doing homework? What's his assignment? The Hat asks curiously. I think it's a challenge to redesign the shuttle he bought with the assumption he has about 3,000 credits to do it. Dong remarks with a shrug before spotting something and starting the narration again. Then his eyes flicker to the side as he notices a strange figure some distance away. Large and powerful, with angles suggesting armor and weapons both. Whatever kind of dame she was looking for trouble. We get it. Knock it off and stop being an idiot, Mr. T states, and Dong nods before glancing around. All playfulness gone now that the warning was given. Playtime was over. It was time to see what was going on. Mr. T and Dong both draw bangers as the Hat pulls out an ablator. Heads on swivels, the area is scanned in moments. There are half a dozen massive armored figures all watching from a distance. Asterisk hewers? Asterisk, the Hat asks in English. A thick accent pours over it. Asterisk looks like it. They're dressed to kill, Mr. T remarks. Asterisk up. We're only seeing half of them on this level. Dong remarks, and both men glance that way. High above on the crisscrossing walkways and paths are more figures, all watching intently, the dark lenses on the helmets glaring down at them. You were told to come alone. A voice echoes out from all of them at once. Internal speakers to confuse them. Clever. All the more reason not to be alone. The Hat answers calmly before lowering his voice. All right, boys. Make sure there's no confusion. Pick your 4. I'll take the ones above us, Dong remarks. There are 6 up there, Mr. T says. I figured I'd give you girls a break. At Dong's taunt, both men turn to give him an amused look. Okay, fine. A competition then, the Hat remarks with a vicious grin. What are you talking about? The suits echo. Can you not hear us? Mr. T calls out to them. Not when you mutter among yourselves. "What kind of game are we playing?" Dong asks for the engagement code. "Kickball from the looks of it." The Hat remarks, kickball being code for posturing with a moderate at most chance of violence, T-ball being posturing with a high chance of violence, softball is code to stall for time with a light shootout, and hardball for going in guns blazing. Beyond that is junior league, which means combat with an eye to take prisoners, and big leagues for leaving corpses. A very simple system. "Is it wrong that I pine for hardball?" Dong asks, and the Hat gives him a pointed look. "We're going to have enough trouble without needing to put our crazier plans into fruition," Mr. T remarks as he visibly relaxes and tucks away his weapon. Dong openly heaves a sigh of disappointment and tucks his away, as well as the Hat finishes holstering his own. "You're either very brave or very foolish to tuck away your weapons," the echoing voice says, and the Hat outright laughs as Dong and Mr. T grin widely as they keep their gazes wide. There's some movement among the armored figures, but not enough to tell them much. "Madam, we're not stupid. When the initial alert faded, we realized that if you wanted to attack, you would have. You're lurking in the shadows, playing at being the big strong girls, posturing and posing because you have no idea what to do. So you've fallen back to hunting. Unless there's a price on our heads, has someone paid you to face us in battle?" "There might be. The value is going up. Of that I can assure you," the chosen speaker of the group says through everyone's armor. Not a direct yes. So there's value in them being here, but not a typical one. Mr. T remarks and Dong nods. The highest up one just descended a level. Dong all but whispers. They're closing in ever so slightly. "What do you want?" the Hat demands in a cross tone. "One of ours was beaten by you in battle," the speaker says. "And you want revenge, of course." She was practically naked and unarmed. There was no dishonor or disrespect in such a loss. Just a silly girl eating her own teeth with her stupidity, the speaker says. "And you want... what then?" Mr. T prompts him, "But all three of you are certainly a prize," is the answer as the speaker reveals herself by raising her arm, or having a subordinate raise their arm to sow confusions. It's hard understanding and pulling apart someone's mind games when you can't see their faces and track their eyes. "Oh boy," Dong notes as their surrounding pattern goes from one kind of concerning to another. He then pulls out his communicator and starts sending texts in English to J3 and Tang, the team snipers. "That's your protest? Not fear of our size or fierce reputation? We've killed bigger, we've caught scarier. I'm sure you make most people run in terror, but the only time we run is to bait someone into an ambush." The Hat remarks as he takes in things more and more. The armor up close is just as impressive as the pictures. Thankfully, there are some obvious weak points. Perhaps weak point is a bad word, but they have a propensity to use larger shoulder pads. In a grappling situation or some kind of wrestling, they'd make great handholds for controlling the upper arms and just pulling them off balance in general. Furthermore, the helmets by necessity are horrible with peripheral vision, although sensors on the back might take away from that slight edge. Just looking at the suit, the only obvious weaknesses are the joints, which by necessity need less armor on them. But that's the obvious for all armor. I'm starting to think those girls might have a point. They're under the impression that you not trets, humans, undaunted, whatever you little monkeys call yourselves, you've got a lot of fang, the speaker says, and the three men look confused, and Dong opens his mouth to feel out his teeth with his thumb, which is Canador slang for courage, you naked monkeys. "No need to be rude. We haven't been out in the galaxy long," the Hat remarks, and one of the Crimson Hewers drops down from above. "I don't care. I'm looking out for my girls," she states before dropping down to all fours with the three cannons on her back glowing brightly. There's a blast of light and sound as Dong throws something before the cannons can fire, and moments later she takes off after the already gone men. All 12 highly armed and armored Canador start chasing after them men who quickly rise up several levels with axiom-fueled jumps. Shit's gone sideways fast. Where are you two, and what kinds of fun are you ready for? We've got a big game of hardball after us. Dong barks into his communicator. We're moving fast down Driftway. We can intercept you about 3 blocks away. Tang barks back. Good. Get ready to shoot. The hewers went hostile, Dong says before hanging up and tucking it away to grab another flashbang. We've got a sheer difference in lethality here. The scale on their weapons will flash cook us and ours will tickle them at best. The Hat grunts. If your heaviest piece is that ablator, then you're a fucking idiot. Mr. T hisses as they all pump axiom into their legs and leap onto another level and keep running. Of course not. But even with the snipers, we're outnumbered more than 2 to 1 and they're ready for a fucking war while we got our holdouts. The Hat barks back. If they want to kill us, she's looking out for her girls, but it's not about the embarrassment. Think we stumbled on a mating ritual? Dong asks as he takes a jump and turns in mid-air to get a good look behind them to see 8 of the 12 charging after the 3 of them on all fours like hounds from hell. So I guessed it? Crap, these ones seem to be extra crazy. Not tempted? Mr. T asks, and the withering glare from the Hat is all the answer he needs. Without any more words spoken, all 3 of them pull out a personalized weapon, with the Hat getting a groan of disgust as he pulls his weapons literally out of his hat. With the help of the nerd squad, he had been able to slap together what he called the Force Knuckles. Effectively, massively oversized shield rings with 4 jest crystals that have to be controlled just so in order to not cause a violent eruption of axiom, or to cause one if it suited him. Mr. T starts reaching into expanded pockets and drawing out a grenade launcher as Dong does much the same with the pieces of a rifle, and his hands fly through the assembly procedure of the powerful weapon until he's rocking the tried and true Suomi with drum magazine and all 71 shots. The finished design may be old, but it had proved itself in the hell of World War II. The real trick is in the ammunition that he already starts charging axiom into, one of several tricks for charging solid ammunition, effectively making them the size of bowling balls without them being slowed by anything. Even if they don't penetrate the armor, it will still be enough force to send them skidding down the road. Is that thing out of a mobster film? Mr. T demands. World War II. Lots of stopping power, accurate and very, very easy to maintain compared to a lot of modern beasts. I made this little baby over the past week and a half when I had some time on my hands and haven't regretted a second. You and old gun designs, Mr. T sighs. You and that hot leaf juice. Dong teases. I'll be the tip of the spear. I want you two to make the idea of clumping up to be an existential nightmare to them. The Hat orders as he brings up his communicator to his breast pocket and turns it on. Snipers, you better be ready. We're about to turn around. We're ready. You should know that turning won't be much use. 2 teams of 2 are trying to flank you from the sides. J3 reports. 10-4. The Hat responds as Mr. T and Dong get their own communicators into position. One more leap and they all skid to a stop. From the sides, 4 Crimson Hewers rush in, but Dong's bullets slam into the ones to the left and send them skidding and bouncing back as a sudden explosion from Mr. T juggles back the 2 opposite, leading to 4 falling Canador in heavy armor going for the lower decks. No less than 8 massive blades form from out of the knuckle dusters and lets out a roar for the remaining 8 to come. The 2 in the lead are slammed into with sniper fire and sent tumbling below as the rest skid to a stop. Half their number sent bouncing like toys in the first second. You reversed the hunt, the speaker exclaims in shock. That's right. When going for prey, avoid bigger predators, the Hat counters. You're smaller than us, she says after a moment. We fight bigger. He answers simply, and she seems completely taken aback, and then she starts to laugh. Then, after a few more moments, reaches up and removes her helmet. Soft brown fur with a shining white accent under the jaw with heavily decorated eyes and lips, all smiles, but no teeth. I approve. I'd worried that my little sisters were going after false trophies, fake prizes. But you didn't get lucky, did you? You turned my trap into a trap of your own, and although you didn't kill any of us, you took nearly half of us out of the fight. She praises them before chuckling again slightly. Warrior men, who'd have thunk it? So we're not gonna fight? The hat asks, and she throws her head back to laugh. So disappointed, so fearless. Oh, I certainly approve. No, we will not fight. There's nothing to be gained, as I and my sister wives here are all well and truly married. But with our clan sisters eyeing you boys up, I wanted to see for myself. Bear in mind, though, if we're hired to kill you, my liking you won't stop us hunting you down and painting our armor with your life fluids. And if you're stupid enough to try, we will kill you, Dong assures her. Tell me, would you prefer having explosives slipped into your armor to turn it into a liability, or the environmental seals broken and thrown out the airlocks? Most of my unmarried clan sisters would like to die of broken pelvis myself. I'd like you to try and get an immensely sharp blade with a huge amount of electricity in it. You'd probably pull it off, wouldn't you? She asks with a massive smile that shows the rows of teeth Canador have. I made this hat from the hides of a bigger and scarier beast than you'll ever be, lady. You're wasting your breath trying to intimidate us. What's it called? Carnex. The hat answers as the crimson hewers they'd attacked make it back to their level, several with severe damage to their armor.